Okay, so we just had the piano dress rehearsal for Don Quixote. I am in Don Quixote. I'm a very small part, but nonetheless, it was a very long rehearsal. It was about, I think it was like 5 hours. Anyway, so piano dress rehearsals is exactly what it sounds like. It's a dress rehearsal where there's no orchestra there, it's just a piano. But it's the first kind of let's all get together and do a show kind of a thing where an actual show happens. You know, it's not just like rehearsing bits and pieces. But with a little bit of my downtime, I fully finished all of Megavlog, and I'm almost done editing yesterday's vlog. So when I get home, Megavlog's going out. I'm gonna finish yesterday's vlog, and we're gonna be all cut up. It's gonna feel really nice. Vlogmobile back in action. Going home. Okay, so I'm home now. Obviously, as I mentioned yesterday, these vlogs, yesterday, today, probably tomorrow, not gonna be as long as my normal vlogs. That's due to just sheer lack of hours and lack of time in shooting, because I can't shoot in rehearsals. I wish I could, but actually it's like a union thing because there are union employees there, and that's like illegal. So the very few things I can show are kind of few and far between. So today I thought I would do a little bit of a story time because I haven't done a story time in a while. People in the past have asked me to kind of explain what I did from kind of high school to now when it came to singing, like schooling and like what the steps were and like what to expect and stuff. I know there are a lot of there are a lot of students out there who are either applying to school or in their undergrad thinking about applying to masters, and I've been through all that. I mean, I'll try and make this as interesting as possible, but, you know, it is school. Now I say that, and you have to understand, I love education. I think education is incredibly important. And I actually feel like I've gotten more of a love of education as I've gotten older through formal education. I wasn't a great high school student. I was actually a pretty bad high school student. I don't mean bad as in I was skipping classes and doing drugs and stuff. I actually wasn't. I was kind of a nerd in that way. I didn't really ever skip class. I mean, I skipped class, but on senior skip day. But for the most part, teachers liked me, and I was really focused on music and art and acting and all that stuff, trying to figure out what I wanted to do. Wasn't really great at sports. I was very scrawny, and I know I've done a vlog on that before. So I did swim team and I did tennis, only things I could manage. I started singing at the age of 8, which is too early, by the way, parents out there. I don't mean too early in don't expose your kids to music. Obviously, yes, you should let your kids sing and put them in choirs and stuff like that, and let them play instruments and honestly force them to. Because one of the many things my parents did for me, which I love them for, is force me to do this stuff. Because if they hadn't forced me, I would have been a bratty little kid and said, I don't want to go because I want to stay out and play. I'm not trying to tell anybody how to be a parent because obviously I'm not one. I just know from personal experience, having gone through it, if not for my parents forcing me to go to my voice lesson every week or twice a week, I would have nothing of what I have now. I would have absolutely no success. The success I have now is directly related to the fact that they said, no, this is a commitment you've made and you're gonna honor that commitment. So I have been studying with my voice teacher I have now since the age of 8. Now, obviously, I've had other voice teachers because I've gone to school, and there's a voice teacher here at the Ryan Opera Center in Chicago, but my voice teacher, Terrence Goff in the city, which I'll put his info down there. He has been my voice teacher forever, and he will always be my voice teacher. Some singers believe that you need multiple teachers in your life. You kind of have to spend some time with one, move on. Some do. That works for some people, and I've been lucky that I have worked with some of the best voice teachers in the world. They've been considered, at least. And my time I've spent with them has definitely improved my singing. But it's just, when you find what works, you don't want to move, you don't want to change it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I was a tenor for a short time, a short, awkward, very poor quality time, a very just abrasive sounds, just horrible. I still have recordings of when I was a tenor, and it's not good. It's really bad. I bring this up because I was a tenor in like the beginning of high school, freshman year, which is only 4 years, before you're going to college, 3 years before you start auditioning. So, that being said, like, I was a bad singer in high school. I mean, like, I was fine for a high schooler, I guess, but I was nothing special. It was work and dedication that got me to a place where if I auditioned for a school, they said, oh, yeah, he seems promising. He seems like he'll end up being good. By the time I auditioned, I was good because I had worked my ass off. No matter where you're starting, no matter who says what, it can change. I was in high school, I was a tenor for like a year or so. So it came time, it was like junior year, going into my senior year kind of, and Terrence, my voice teacher, and my parents said, is this what you really want to do? Do you want to make a go of this? Because if you do, let's do it. And Terrence kind of said, you can, you're good enough. So my school application situation for undergrad was the shotgun approach, as I like to call it, where you just apply to a ton of places and hope. So I applied to like seriously like 11 schools, or like 10 or 11 schools. I had one audition before CCM. It was Florida State University, which has actually like a pretty good music program. 4 days later, I think, was CCM. So we flew into CCM, and actually my voice teacher had 3 students auditioning at CCM on that day. So he actually was in Cincinnati and like kind of warmed us up and all that stuff. But my brother was there because he goes to school there, and like my whole family was there, and I grew up with these other 2 singers that he had there that day, so all their families were there. So we were all, I was the last of the 3 of us. It was a bunch of people, but out of the 3 of us, I was the last. My voice teacher's teacher was at that school, and she texted him after my audition and said, yeah, he's in. Terrence told my parents, and then my parents pulled me aside and said, I just want to let you know that, Terrence told us you're in. So, and I lost it. I cried. I was very excited. Because to me, that was it. That was like, I'm going to have a career. Obviously, that's not what it means. But what it did do was it kind of set me in motion. It set me in this pattern of focus. I knew exactly what was going to happen. I knew what I was going to do next year, and I knew where I was going. I went through undergrad, and I got to my senior year, and it came time to think about where I was going to go for master's. So I really wanted Juilliard. It was 2 schools. I wanted Curtis, which is in Philadelphia, or Juilliard. I really wanted Juilliard though, but Philly's pretty awesome. So I figured, I'm close enough. I remember I was dropped off and I walked into the school, and they had signs and stuff, and I went down these steps to this small theater they have. My pianist was there, and I had practiced with him earlier that day, so I kind of knew where I was going. I was so nervous because it's Juilliard. It's in movies. It's famous. And you walk in and you could sense the energy, you could sense the creativity in the building. It was one of the most rewarding experiences of my life being at that school. So I went out and I sang, and it went really well. I was really happy about it. They had callbacks later that day. Nobody knows who's called back. I mean, unless it's like people who sing, but there's no list. You just get an email. So I came back for the callbacks and I sang. And then I walked out of the school, and I remember I walked out of the school, I made a left, walked down to the corner, which is Amsterdam. It's like right on Lincoln Center, so it's like Amsterdam and Columbus or whatever, the 2 that cross right there, I can't remember. And I walked across the street to that little island. I didn't really even know where I was going, I just was walking because I was so amped up. And I was standing on the little island, and I remember I looked back, and it's Alice Tully Hall with the big glass front, it's beautiful. And I stood there and I looked at it and I go, yeah, I'm gonna go to school here, I'll do this. In my head, it wasn't like a cocky thing. It wasn't like, oh yeah, they'll take me. It was just, I knew it. I had a feeling where I said, this is where I'm going to spend the next 2 years of my life. And it was a very overwhelming feeling. Because, naturally there's questioning that happens when you do that. But like, for some reason, it hit me like a ton of bricks. And I thought, yep, this is where I'm gonna be. Now listen, I don't believe in things like The Secret, like that book where it's like, if you think about money enough, you'll get money. That's ridiculous. Where the truth lies in that book is, if you exert positive energy and work really damn hard, then you will get stuff. Then things will happen. But you can't just sit on your couch and think, gee, I wish I was famous. Gee, I wish I was rich. You have to do everything in your power. You have to do everything with every second of every day. But you have to, the whole time, you have to believe, this is who I am and this is where I'm going. And there can't be a question in your brain. You have to say, this is what I want, this is how I'm gonna get it, and it's gonna happen, period. You just have to say it. And that was that moment for me. As soon as and it was weird because it was after the audition, and I was on the phone with my mom, And I was telling her about the audition, and I turned and I looked, and and I just stopped talking, and I had that feeling, and it came over me like a wave. And she was saying, she's like, and next. So I snapped out of it. I told her about it. So anyway, so it went great, and then I think that was on like a Friday, because I had to leave school in an audition, and then I flew back to school because I was still in CCM that Monday, and then shortly thereafter, I found out it was only a matter of, I think it was like a day or two actually. It's very quickly. And that was that. I went, and then I was off to Juilliard, and it was kind of off to the races, It was like, the one good thing about that school is it doesn't really treat you like a school. It's not very nurturing. It demands professionalism, and it demands that you act like a singer. Like, it's get up there, do your job, and do it well, and no excuses, which I love and I needed. Because CCM was a very nurturing place. And I needed somewhere that was like, now it's a job. Now this is what life is gonna be like. For all of you people who are auditioning for schools, whatever age, whatever degree, just remember, it's just singing. It's not the end. Like, that audition will not matter in a few years. And that's another thing I learned is, although I went to CCM and Juilliard, two of the best vocal schools on the planet Earth. And people don't really care. Like, they do care, and they're like, oh, great, yeah. Especially getting my master's at Juilliard, that has gotten me opportunities, especially auditions. But it will never get you the job. Like, you'll never get the job because of where you went to school if it's a performance gig. It's because it's the way you sing. It's the way you are on stage. There are plenty of singers who came from the middle of nowhere and are astronomically famous. Most of the opera singers now that are really famous didn't go to, like, A-list schools. I mean, Renee Fleming went to Juilliard, but besides her. So just, like, you have to focus on why you do it, because if you do it because you want to be rich and famous, you're not doing it for the right reasons. And I know that's like a cliche at this point because people say it so often, but they say it because you will not be successful if the only reason you are doing whatever you're doing is because you want money or you want fame. You have to want the art. You have to want to kind of destroy yourself repeatedly, which is what I think of art. I think of it like as dismantling myself repeatedly over and over again and becoming more vulnerable and more vulnerable in it. But anyway, that is my story time. I hope you enjoyed this whole thing. I'm sorry that not much happened in this vlog other than story time, but I think it was a pretty good story. Again, for the next few days, the vlogs will probably be short. This one might actually end up being like a normal time frame, or more actually. This might end up being a little long because I spoke for longer than I thought I would. But for the most part, I'm assuming the next few days the vlogs are going to be kind of short just because the rehearsal schedules are crazy at work. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you on the next vlog, which is Sunday's vlog.